Okay, everyone, this is my third time trying to record this video. Hopefully, the third time's the charm. Okay, so I am going to be skipping a few chapters of 1984 because 1984 is a lot of backstory, and I want us to begin to get to the meat of it, where we finally meet the girl in the fiction department that Winston is so afraid of. So I'm going to summarize the next three chapters for you. And then the last chapter we will read, Winston Goes into Town, which is a really important chapter, which is why I'm having us read it. Okay, so chapter 5, which in my book is 42 to 56, we meet Winston's friend, Syme. Winston says they're not really friends, they're comrades, but he enjoys Syme's company to an extent. Okay, and then they talk about the free market because they're out of razor blades and it's been impossible to get them. The free market is someplace, it's the place that the Proles run. So they're the ones, technically you're not supposed to buy anything off of the free market, but the party overlooks it because you need certain things like razor blades, and the party is often out of things. And Winston implies that the party makes it that way, that they're purposefully out of razor blades or buttons or string. Okay. We learn that Syme's job is to destroy words. So Syme starts talking about synonyms and antonyms. So a synonym is a word. So it's when there are words that have the same meaning or similar meanings. So a synonym for good would be splendid, great, awesome, virtuous, and amazing. Sorry, I cannot read backwards. I'm doing the best I can. Okay, so that's what a synonym is. And then there are antonyms. So an antonym is the opposite meaning of a word. So an antonym of good would be bad, would be evil, corrupt, terrible, and immoral. So that's also important, where Syme is destroying words. And the easiest way, he said, to destroy words is to get rid of synonyms and antonyms. So if you have all these words for good, all Syme argues you really need is the word good. And then in terms of antonyms, you don't need the word bad anymore when you can just have ungood. So this would be newspeak. We've seen some of these words. We have good, ungood, double plus good. So you don't need words like splendid. If you want to say something is really good, you just say double plus good or plus good. To me, this is insanely creepy because I'm a writer. I express myself with words, and a lot of words have different sides to them, which means they're nuanced. They have a bunch of different facets. They have a bunch of different meanings. Most words don't only just have one meaning. So that's really important because Syme is trying to get rid of all those meanings. He is trying to limit the way people are able to think. And that's what cutting down language does. If you cut down enough words, if you limit the language, you prevent people from thinking. And his goal by making the Newspeak Dictionary is to make thought crime impossible. Because if you limit the language enough, you can't go against party values anymore because you can't think. So right now we speak Old Speak in this world. Old Speak is how we talk now. Newspeak is the condensed language. The Newspeak Dictionary is the only dictionary where there are fewer words each year. And so that's important. And then Syme says to Winston, you don't understand the beauty of the destruction of words. Syme is really into his job. That's what you can get from that. Winston reflects that the Proles are the only ones who would be speaking Old Speak after maybe like 10 or 15 years. And they'd be the keepers of that because they're not in the party and they're seen as animals. So they're not worth teaching Newspeak. Okay. And then Winston also reflects that Syme is too smart, says too much, and notices too many things. And because of that, he's going to be vaporized. Yeah, if you're smart, if you know too much, if you remember things, you will be vaporized. And so Winston knows that someday he will be killed as well by the party. It's only the people who follow blindly and are too stupid to remember who will survive in this society. Okay. And then Winston is freaked out and paranoid because the girl from the fiction department keeps looking at him. Okay. And that's everything from chapter 5. So in chapter 6, which in my book is pages 56 to 61, Winston describes how his encounter with a prostitute. We learn women in the party don't wear makeup, and there are marriages, they're not quite arranged, but they feel that way, where basically the party won't agree to marry two people unless it seems like they hate each other or they won't get along. They will never approve of a marriage where the people actually love each other. Because that would be a threat to the party. If there are two people who love each other more than they love the government, then that's a threat to them. Because then that's how people can start plotting against the government. So, and because of that, yeah, Winston is married. So her name is Catherine. She's gone. But he's not divorced because the party doesn't allow divorces. They separated like 10 or 15 years ago. They didn't have children. Winston thought she was stupid. He couldn't live with her because sex became a mechanical, loveless thing that they had to do to make a baby. He even said if they didn't have sex, he would be totally fine still being married to her. But because she wanted to have sex, but it was like this mechanical, loveless thing, he couldn't do it anymore. Okay. We also learn about punishments. For example, being caught with a prostitute could get you 5 years in a forced labor camp, which is basically manual labor. Any kind of like outside work, building things, stuff like that. It sounds kind of like slavery though, like you wouldn't get paid. You'd be forced to do that work without pay. But it wouldn't get you killed, so that's the important thing. But what could get you killed was having an affair or having sex with another party member. Okay, so then we go to chapter 7, which is pages 61 to 72. Winston writes in his journal, if there is hope, it lies in the proles. We learn that they are 85% of the population. And if they rebelled, they could destroy the party. The party can't destroy itself because of how many rules they have and how thought crime works. Basically, the party is really good at regulating itself so that the party doesn't fall from within. But the proles, if they rebelled, the party would be done. The proles struggle to survive and fight over small resources. The word that I would use for the proles is destitute. And destitute means basic needs are not being met. So they fight over small resources like pots and pans. They don't have enough to eat. They may not have clean water. They don't have the basic things they need to survive. I mean, the people in the party barely have enough. They have like barely enough food. They have barely, they don't really have social interactions that are meaningful. And the proles have social interactions that are meaningful because there aren't really rules. They're not policed in any way, but they just don't have their very basic needs met. Okay. And yeah, one of the party slogans is proles and animals are free, which is hugely problematic because the party's comparing the proles, which are other people, to animals. Okay. And then the party says that things are better now than they used to be when the capitalists ruled Oceania, but Winston is unsure that is true. So capitalism is what we live in now. It's sort of like a free market society where people have businesses and people buy and sell goods, and everyone makes their own money and things like that. What Winston lives in is a socialist community or socialist society where the government gives you everything and the government regulates everything. Okay. Winston reveals that the party forces people to admit to crimes they did not commit. This is the first time we really hear about, okay, people are probably getting tortured in the Ministry of Love. Okay. And then we learn that telescreens hear and see you and can detect bodily sensations, so they can also sense your heartbeat and how fast your heart is beating. So at the end of the chapter, Winston writes in his diary, freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4. If that is granted, all else follows. And that's a big thing with the party, where the party says, like, if we say 2 + 2 = 5, that is what the truth is. And so Winston is basically saying, if we have free speech, all of our other rights will follow. Okay, so that's all I have for those 3 chapters, chapters 5, 6, and 7. And I'm also uploading a video of chapter 8, which I'm going to read and explain to you. All right, I'll see y'all later.